This is not a bad spot. Oh, why don't I film from here? I get to see the lighting is good. Oh, I should not have let my hair down. But it smells so good. Okay, so it is 3:30 already. I have just been reading non-stop today, but I'm making some good progress. I only have about 100 pages to go of the binding, and oh my god, I need to talk about this book with you right here, right now. So I don't know if you saw maybe my last vlogs or whatever. I think I was talking about it. I was saying about how like it was taking me a while to really get into it. I think the story, I often find a lot of the time, I don't know about you, but when I read like the synopsis, when I read the back of the book, instantly I form a story in my head of what I think is going to happen, or a sort of rough idea of how the story is going to pan out. I always do. Most people maybe do as well. You just kind of instantly form a story. So when I started it, and I felt like it was starting, I'm not saying it was quite slow to begin with, but the first 100 pages or so, I was mostly just kind of like thinking, okay, well this is a bit different than I thought it was going to be. I guess because I thought it was going to kick off where like, because it says like Emmett Farmer is a binder's apprentice, his job is to handcraft beautiful books, and within each to capture something unique and extraordinary, a memory. So I just assumed our plot was going to kick off right with him already being the apprentice, but it's not. He was at home. Within like the first chapter was like him going off to become the binder's apprentice, and so he was literally just learning his craft. So it took a little while for it to kind of get into the proper process of really kind of understanding it. I guess I just kind of, so I don't mind that. I really didn't mind that, but I guess I just assumed that it was going to kick off straight away with him already doing it, but oh well, doesn't matter. So it took me a little while just to get into it. I felt like it was off to a bit of a slower start, and things kind of changed. Like, yeah, I don't really want to spoil it, but obviously like things kind of changed and the setting ended up changing, and I was a bit kind of like, oh, we're moving on already? Before like he's even really done anything? And so it took a little while, and then we got to the part where, like it says in the back, that then one day Emmett makes an astonishing discovery. One of the volumes has his name on it. So basically he finds, or he stumbles upon a book that has his name on it, and that basically means that book has part of his memories in it, memories that he doesn't remember. It could be like, it could be anything. It could be like your entire life. It could be just like maybe like a specific day, or just a specific memory, just something that you want to forget. And what a binder does is they take that memory from you essentially, and they put it into a book. I like this. I actually like that idea. It's different. It's I've never heard this kind of concept before, and it's really interesting. I don't really want to spoil. It's hard to talk about these kind of things though. But basically, then as well, if you burn a book, set it on fire, burn it, the person who the book's about, or whose memories they belong to, get their memories back. So Emmett, then the book ends up getting burned and he gets his memory back, and we then get, so part one was basically like Emmett's journey becoming like the binder's apprentice. Then part two was entirely about the memories that Emmett had forgotten or had been given up. So it was recanting the whole tale, and that is the moment I fell in love with this book, because I was like, oh my god. We get introduced to this other character called Lucian, and the minute he was introduced, it was like there was just tension between Emmett and him, and I was a bit kind of like this was like pure, this was sexual tension. I was like feeling it. I was feeling the tension, and for the first time in like forever, I feel like I was reading this book and suddenly I was getting, like, romance was getting thrown at me, but not in like an immediate way. It wasn't like a love at first sight thing. It's hard to like really talk about it, but basically Emmett and his sister, she falls in love with this boy. She puts herself in danger and he rescues her, and then he starts coming to their house like every day and like to spend time with them. Emmett instantly dislikes him. He's just got all this pent up frustration towards him, and I was like, boy, you in love. Don't lie, you love Lucian. I could feel it. I could feel this sexual tension, or just this tension, this lover's tension. I was like, you are in love. So the more like him and Lucian are spending time together, like the three of them and stuff, and I'll tell you one thing as well, it was actually really refreshing just to see a bit of boy on boy romance. I feel like oh, my voice cracked. I feel like I don't actually read an awful lot of novels with gay relationships. I mean, I do read it, like it's there in books, but maybe just the books I'm reading, I feel like maybe I'm just not getting, it's never like the main characters, and if it is, I don't know, maybe it's because I don't read a lot of romance. I really don't. So I maybe haven't read as much like gay romances, couplings as I think I have, because maybe it's more like a subplot between two other characters. So for it to be like my main character and like I'm gonna call this fantasy, I'm not quite sure if this is classed as fantasy or not, it's a bit kind of magical realism, I guess. So considering that like it's happening to like our main characters, normally, I've said this before in many videos, normally I absolutely hate when I get like romance in a book and it was never like promised to me. Like I didn't realize like there was gonna, like, I mean, most books always have romance in them, that's just the kind of the done thing. It's very rare that they don't. So considering like I normally I don't really like it, I think I just find relationships in novels sometimes can be a bit cringy, sometimes I maybe don't like either character, sometimes I feel like it just feels very forced, but this was done in a way that I really enjoyed. Like, oh, I think because it wasn't obvious at the start, it was like this boy, and obviously you know that his sister is in love with him basically, and he's kind of hanging about, and yeah, to begin with, Emmett doesn't really like him, or he acts like he doesn't like him, and he's repulsed by him, or he infuriates him and everything, but then the more time they spend together, he kind of softens up a bit, and then they start hanging out, just the two of them, and then they kissed, and I was like, get it, Emmett, get it. So I feel like, yeah, this is like the first time in forever that I feel like romance has been thrown into a novel that I wasn't expecting it, because it's not, there's no clue that there's going to be romance in here, and it's the first time that it's cropped up, and I've really been rooting for the two characters, and I'm like, I'm desperate for them to be together. It's also great, like, maybe it's because it's set in kind of, I'm trying to work out the time period because I really don't know, it doesn't specify in the book, but I think it could be kind of like Victorian times, just going off of like, it's obvious there's like no electricity and everything's like little lamps and fires and horse and carts, so I can kind of tell that it is kind of Victorian times, although it's not specified. So I also love that kind of setting. So obviously it's more taboo, the relationship be frowned upon, they don't want their parents to find out, but then things happen. Now we're on to part 3, and now it's being told from Lucian's perspective, and I'm like, oh. It's actually quite heartbreaking because, you know, things have happened and memories have been lost, and now Lucian doesn't remember that fateful summer. Was it a summer? Was it a year? I think it was over winter actually. But now Emmett remembers their past, but Lucian doesn't know, and they've not yet had to speak about it. They've like re-met each other without their memories. Like, oh, it's complicated, but it's so good. And I think it was just because it was such a pleasant surprise, and you could definitely just tell from the tension that they liked each other, and I was then rooting for them. Like, it wasn't just a forced relationship, it wasn't like love at first sight or anything like that. The sheer fact it was like a kind of gradual thing, and you could see it developing, even though it was literally in the span of like 100 pages, but because it was kind of being recanted as Emmett was getting his memory back, and it was like, I loved it. I love it. I love this. It's so good. This might be my new favourite OTP ever. I might just give this book 5 stars for the sheer fact that it has been able to introduce a romance that I didn't see coming, that I don't normally like in novels. I hate romance getting in the way of my plot, but I'm actually rooting for the characters, and I actually love it, and I love them, and it's just made the novel even better because it was just so unexpected, but it worked. They just genuinely seemed to care for each other, and I'm like, I love you. Probably maybe as well because I really liked the main character, and I really liked Lucian as well, so it's like it worked. It worked for me. Tension between them was so good. It was just done so well. So now I'm gonna go for a walk to calm down. Be still, my beating heart. This is the kind of romance that I like. The tension. So I don't even want to call it enemies to lovers, because it wasn't really an enemies. They weren't really enemies. He just really didn't like him, but he grew to love him. I'm in love. I'm in love with love. Oh god. It's starting to rain. There is no shelter. I could just turn back, but I mean, I'm already out here. A little rain never hurt nobody. We pirates are tough. So pretty. Excuse me. I'm currently sat on a branch. I'm currently sat on a tree because the rain came on quite heavily, so I'm sheltering. This is the part where I should probably just phone my dad to come and pick me up because it's a little bit wet out there and I don't have a coat. Oops. Exploration. Oh. Ain't going so well. This pirate is gonna have to return to the ship. Oh jeez. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to run home at this rate. I'm gonna have to run. I cannot stay under these trees much longer. I might starve out here. Oh, oh, oh! The ground is so soft as well, and the trees aren't providing much shelter. Yeah, it's getting heavier. I'm gonna have to run home. I hope no one sees me. That makes for some good ASMR sounds though. Let's just find a spot to shelter and listen to the rain sounds. Oh my god, what is that? It's a wild haggis. It's natural habitat. A wild haggis. This is good fun.